Have you heard of Call of Duty?
Well, do I have a video for you?
Yes, this wasn't my actual video, but for the sake of actually having something uploaded to my channel for a change, long or short, this was probably the best way of going about it. And if you guys didn't notice, that question at the beginning of the video was rhetorical, because if you don't know what Call of Duty is, you're a saint. Not that one! No, since its inception in 2003, this military shooter franchise has seen its humble beginnings to some of the best games in the genre, to absolute shit. Yes, as the rules go, with any long-running annual franchise, the more games that are released under the CoD name, which sounds like a fish, the more the franchise deviated into things that on paper seemed cool, but in execution is not at all what fans wanted, and instead just turned it into the biggest cash grabs in the video game market. Now, are all CoD games past Black Ops 2 bad? Well, I don't necessarily think so. I thought the games were still good up until Advanced Warfare and stopped being good until Black Ops 3. Infinite Warfare was just such a forgettable game, even with the core mechanics still being relatively solid. And despite the popular opinion on this game, I still actually thought that World War II was actually pretty good. Then came Black Ops 4, and then the world fell under a total collapse because now Call of Duty could no longer be enjoyed by introverts.
My life is officially ruined.
A multiplayer exclusive game with a battle royale mode who no one gives a shit about, especially now. Design choices for the multiplayer that attempted to cash in on the Apex and Overwatch craze, and zombies, which was still debatably the most fun, but if you're still gonna be paying for full retail price for just one singular mode, you might as well play Black Ops 3 on the PS3. Now you see, Call of Duty was starting to get a huge decline in the reception of the player base. People were just constantly bad-mouthing the game, saying how the franchise lost its way and how the good old days were better.
I for one agree with that statement.
But at some point, someone in the company must have took some smelling salts and woke the fuck up, because in 2019, they rebooted the game that made the franchise popular to begin with, and wouldn't you know, Call of Duty was rejuvenated with this game. Now, I can't really comment that much anymore as I haven't played this game in a good while. The whole gameplay style was completely overhauled and it feels a little bit more like Battlefield at first glance. But hey, it worked. This game was once again met with good critical response and fans really liked it as well. So all seemed to be going good again. Then came Black Ops Cold War, which I actually preferred a little bit more, honestly. And then came Call of Duty Vanguard, and we don't even talk about that one. If you want to talk about a game that is just so copy and paste and bland and forgettable, you'll find this game's cover art in any part of the dictionary, and why it frustrates me, personally, is because it's a good game at its core. It's just the same fucking thing over again, which is why I only have the utmost faith with this year's entry. So to let you all know, this isn't a review. I'm playing the game's open beta, which is as I'm writing its script on its second week.
Which will probably be over by the time that this video comes up, which means that you won't be able to play it anymore, so...
And I am playing this on the oldie yet goldie child, the base PS4.
This lighting isn't working.
Why not on my PC? Because firstly... Secondly, we're talking about a Call of Duty game that is coming out in 2022 on the PS4 and the Xbox One. So of course I want to play it on the weakest systems imaginable to see whether or not the majority of us that aren't willing to buy a new Wi-Fi router or a fridge for your Dr. Peppy are still able to have a little bit of fun. And I use that term very, very lightly. And also keep in mind, if the footage itself looks like that one time your baby sister threw up all over the car windshield, is because to capture this game at 60 FPS, I needed to drop down the resolution from 1080p to 720p because my capture card comes from a place where John Cena looks like this. And yes, there are still frame drops that happen during the recording, so just like having two eyes in your head, it may seem deceiving, but I'll talk about the performance when I get there, alright? So without further ado, let's delve into this long-running franchise's 200th outing and see whether or not it's still worth your time until it gets yoinked out of the public eye when the next game launches. So we finally launch at the menu, and get this, after reading the normal EULA shit, we get to the menu and we're immediately greeted by the What's Hot section, which I only can imagine is the most popular game modes at that moment. But thankfully, we can go down and choose some ourselves. So in this beta, we have access to 6 game modes. I don't actually think it's 6 because the first option is quick play, but having a higher number is funny, so I'm keeping it like this. I decided to pick quick play, and immediately I'm greeted by a code of conduct. What? Help us keep the game fair, safe, and fun for everyone? Okay, firstly, I like this option. Treat everyone with respect. I mean, I genuinely respect the fact that something like this is here, but Do you remember what franchise this is?
Oh, bite the head off your dick.
Need I say more? Okay, and the other two are just there to say not to cheat and to be a good Samaritan. Okay, thanks game. This here is just genuinely a disclaimer for us to check off so that they won't get in trouble when little Jimmy smashes the TV after being called a slur. Once again, I really respect the fact that this is here, but come on guys, you aren't gonna change the core fan base that you've had since 2007. People are dicks. Whatever, it's fine. I acknowledge that I completely read everything and did not make fun of it whatsoever, and we're off to the lobby. And already I regret loading in because my character looks like if Dr. Salvador was packing heat. I load into my first match and then the gloves are off. It was nice that they dropped me into a normal team deathmatch, easy to start off with. The match loaded, I picked my loadout, and here we go. I got a kill. That aimbot hat must really be working. Okay, so I'll get the obvious out of the way. The game looks amazing. Call of Duty has always been at the forefront of graphics and gaming, and it's definitely no exception here. And on top of that, the game runs incredibly smooth. With only a few instances did the game drop below 60, but on top of everything else, it ran smooth as butter. Though I will ask, is this not just the exact same engine that ran Modern Warfare 2019? Does the PS5 and Series X versions of the game look better? Should I actually be impressed by the visuals here? Let me know in the comments so that I don't have to read them. And in terms of the actual gameplay, it's just Call of Duty, specifically Modern Warfare 2019. You have your tactical sprint back, which I actually really liked, opening and closing doors to access new parts of the map and provide you with cover if you want to close it. And then you have the mounting mechanic back from Modern Warfare 2019 to stabilize your aim, and you not have to fully expose yourself to the oncoming fire. But all in all, I suck! You still have your kill streaks that you can get by eliminating a bunch of enemies without dying. You have whatever this was called from Modern Warfare 2019, where you can do fancy shit like dropping an ammo box that can blow up when you shoot it.
Ow!
Remember to follow me on Twitch so you can see me do more dumb shit like this. Thank you.
And in my case, smoking a meth pipe. I didn't know I was playing as Walter White. The only other thing that I'm really able to note that is extremely different from any other Call of Duty game is the fact that you're now able to do the hit the deck dive from Black Ops along with the normal slide, depending on whether you just tap or hold the crouch button. That honestly took a little bit of getting used to, and honestly neither one really felt all that useful for defensive reasons. Really, it just seems more like a means to go into crouch or the prone position without needing to stop dead in your tracks. And hooray! After obeying the code of conduct by being a fair player to my enemies, I finally managed to lose my first match, but at least I wasn't in last place, so it's just the little things that count. Now next up is Invasion, which seems to be a much larger scale battle mixed with actual players and bots. So for the sake of this video, I needed to give it a go, even though games like Battlefield make me cry from anxiety, but fuck it, I haven't been traumatized in a good while, so let's give this a go. Well, seeing as the match is taking quite a while, I decided to go look around through the menus for a bit, and was able to find stuff like the operators, which thankfully only seem to serve as cosmetics and nothing more. Definitely can't complain about that. Then I headed over to this page where I saw my last house mortgage, which scared the shit out of me until I realized that that was the price of the actual game. Then I decided that that was worse. And as I'm sure you guys can already tell, the game didn't start. So for the sake of not wanting to waste too much time before I was reminded I live in South Africa, I quickly switched over to the next mode on the list. Third person mosh pit. And I'm gonna be real with you here. Best part of the game for me. The original Modern Warfare 2 also had a third-person mode, but sadly it wasn't really a mode that took off to my knowledge, and all of my friends fucking hated it, but here it's a lot of fun. Ignoring the fact that your guy looks like he shat himself after doing the tactical sprint, it's still essentially just your normal game modes, with the only difference being your camera's in third person now. The only thing I don't like, however, is the fact that when you aim, the camera immediately goes back into first person, which gave me Ghost Recon Wildlands flashbacks, and I'd rather not have that experience again. And also, the only other thing I couldn't figure out was how to switch shoulders. The only way how I was able to do that was to click the sprint button with the direction I wanted the camera to swing to, but that didn't really feel natural at all. Though to be fair, I probably was doing it wrong. Though I will say, this mode, just for novelty, is really fun, and I will say it's the most fun that I've had in this beta, and it's the one mode I've spent most of my sessions playing on. You don't understand how something as basic as a perspective flip can really change the way how a game feels to play. So all in all, really fucking cool mode. And you can make your serious soldier look like a Golira if you hang on the wall. So cute. Next up, Search and Destroy. And have you played Counter-Strike? Good, because this is Call of Duty's equivalent. Though I'm not too sure if I just tangled my underwear so far up my ass it's causing me emotional distress. But there's something I don't quite like about Call of Duty's variant all that much. Whatever, how did my first game go? Well, I got to the bomb site ready to get the W for the team, and then I realized that I don't have the bomb on me and that I needed to go get it off of the corpse of a fallen teammate. Let me just go get that. Hey, sorry buddy, gonna need this, you know, hope you don't mind. Okay, let's plant this thing. And fuck's sake! Some matches later, and we actually won 6-2, so that was pretty neat. Wish I contributed something though. And can I just say, one of the coolest things that I've seen in this game so far is the spectator mode when you get eliminated. It's a literal helmet cam on the actual player model, and that is so cool. It makes you feel like you're watching one of those airsoft channels on YouTube, except now with more homicide. And next up we have prisoner rescue, which I take it is the same thing as Counter-Strike's hostage mode, but just like Invasion, I was unable to get a match going, which must mean that these modes suck. So next up we head into Knockout, which to me is a game mode that I didn't entirely grasp, but I think I get the gist of it now. You're tasked with either eliminating every single player on the opposing team, or try to see who can contest this cache the longest, so it almost feels like a mix of King of the Hill and your standard elimination deathmatch. The biggest difference here is you can now actually revive your teammates that have been knocked down by the other team, meaning that you have more of a chance to actually change the tides in your favor if you just so happen to get your ass knocked down. Then on my second go, I must have accidentally activated every single fucking light mode on every single app that I had because I was getting blinded constantly, and then my aim turned into Nadia, where I was busy shooting at my teammates because you can't see their tags once you're blinded.
Thank fuck there was no friendly fire.
Oh, and funny, remember, I live in South Africa, so my internet crashed here, so just have a look at this. What the fuck is going on with my legs? Hey, buddy, you gotta finish reviving the teammate over there, and like, oh, bye then. So finally, after waiting for my internet and power to come back, I was finally able to actually get a match going on Invasion. And oh my sweet mother of Rice Krispies, what a fucking good game mode. This is probably the best mode I've played along with third-person mosh pit in the entire package. You're dropped in a massive match and whoa, boy, these textures. Are these gonna load in by the time the game starts? Okay, cool. And you and your 20-man team needs to see who can get the most kills as possible. Basically like team deathmatch, except only this time with Bullshark testosterone. You know Metal Gear Solid 5? You know, vast, open, lots of different approaches that you can take to complete each objective. Now that is what Invasion in Modern Warfare 2 feels like. The whole map has got so many places for you to explore and stake out to see what places that you can use as vantage spots so that you can camp out and take on the enemies from a distance, or you can go in all guns blazing just like a normal Call of Duty game, except on a much larger scale. And no, I'm not talking about this either. Although I do need to bring up that this game mode essentially feels like a Warzone game, except it's a little bit smaller, and unlike stuff like Battlefield, which tends to drive me nuts, it was still easy enough for me to digest and actually get my bearings along with what was happening. It was also here where I discovered that little Golira climb that I did in the third-person mode is actually just another addition to the gameplay. Please bear with me. I don't know exactly how to explain it, but the whole idea is that for a moment, you're able to scout out what's ahead of you before jumping over a wall or climbing onto a roof. And if you have a sidearm like a pistol, for example, you're actually able to fire at enemies, almost something like those climbing sections in the Uncharted games. This is definitely a welcome addition to the overall gameplay, and I love it. This mode even has a bunch of different vehicles that you can acquire, from tanks to armored trucks with mounted machine guns, and this can be devastating when you have a bunch of people working together well on it. Sadly, I didn't, and then they rolled the vehicle, and then I died, and then I promptly did nothing. It's a video game, get the fuck over yourself. And over here, I think someone may have requested a care package, which I yoinked, then I used it, then I had no idea how to use it, so I wasted it, and I'm pretty sure I caused whoever asked for the thing to have a mental breakdown. But overall, I still think that this is the best mode in the game, just by the amount of freedom that you can have throughout the entire match. I really wanted to try another game of this to see how the other maps stack up with this style, but sadly, I'm way too busy and my channel is barren enough with uploads as it is, so sadly, I'm gonna have to try this another time. And lastly, the hostage mode, and yep, it's just as I thought. It's essentially the hostage rescue game mode from Counter-Strike, but in Call of Duty. No, but seriously, this is essentially the exact same thing as Knockout, except now, depending on which side you are, you either need to try and rescue the hostages, and once you flip, you need to try and kill the people trying to rescue the hostages. This game mode isn't really anything too special. So here's the part of the video where I have to tell you guys whether or not I think that this game is gonna be worth it as soon as it comes out. And the easy answer is gonna be simple. Do you like the Call of Duty formula? Do you not mind playing the exact same game each and every single year with just minuscule changes to its core formula? Then what can I say? just fucking get it? But for me, especially from a multiplayer point of view, this game for me personally just isn't worth it. I literally got my fill on the multiplayer maps from just playing this beta. But did I have fun? Yeah, I did. A little bit. Is this something that I would spend close to 2,000 Rand on? And for you Americans out there, that's over $100. Okay, fair enough. This is for what the game calls the Vault Edition, but still, that much? To play a probably only 5-hour long campaign and multiplayer modes I'll probably get bored of within the first week of owning the game. It's true that this game is perfectly functional. That's something I cannot fault any of the games in this series for. And for the slight gameplay additions that they've added, they're nice, yes, but the core gameplay still hasn't really evolved much since 2007. Hey, here I am on camera now. For me personally, I don't really think I'll be getting Modern Warfare 2 for all the reasons that I've just stated, because let's be really honest here. Why would I spend all that money when I can just go back to one of the older ones and then just play a game where I know I'll have just as much fun with the campaign, the multiplayer, and the additional modes, like let's say Black Ops 2 for example. And just by me using that game as my primary example as to why I'm not going to be getting this one, I'm pretty sure I don't need to explain myself any further. I've really had so much fun making this video. This wasn't the original video that I was planning on getting out. That video is still in production and it will come out at some point, but I just felt like this is something that I really needed to talk about, and truth be told, I had so much fun with it, and yeah, that's pretty much all I needed to say. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys did enjoy the video, please consider leaving a like, maybe subscribing, see if we can get 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. If you guys didn't like the video, and you guys must probably be a bunch of salty CoD fanboys that doesn't really like my opinion all that much, despite my first impressions being relatively solid about this one. But without further ado, I'm John from the channel with the freakishly long name, and thank you guys so much for watching again, and I will see you all in the next video. And that was a fucking glitch. Ignore that. My webcam is shit for some reason, so bye!